young singer named Justin Moore.
We don't do a whole lot of bullshitting up here. We just get up here and play country music.
Check, 1, 2. What's up, everybody out there in podcast land? This is your buddy JR the Handler, and I'm on the Zoom machine today with my brother, Mr. Justin Colmore, and you're listening and watching to the 10th episode of this season 3 of the one and only Justin Moore podcast. And the man himself in Poe and purple with the little camo hat on, ready to rock. Looks like he's back home. You look a little fresher than you did last time I saw you. You glad to be home, Just? I guess we'll kick it off with that. Yeah, we were on the road this weekend. So
yeah, I have to say, for those watching, you'll see this, but I got my Poe and hat on, but I got my Bobcat gear on. They sent me some pretty sweet gear here a couple of weeks back, and finally getting a chance to wear it. But yeah, I'm coming around. For those that weren't out in either Wyoming or South Dakota this past weekend, we were back on the road. First time we've played arenas, and it didn't look a whole lot different than it did last March when we stopped all this stuff. So it was nice to be out there and in any capacity. And we've played a few shows here and there, but it was really nice to be back in an arena, have catering,
yes. The bus.
Have our tractor trailer, buses.
I had my work box.
All of the above, work boxes, all of our guitars and equipment. And hell, it was really nice to be back out there with Tracy Lawrence and Lainey Wilson.
Dude, are you kidding me?
So,
yeah.
But as you alluded to, and maybe I just did as well, and we were talking off the air, we're a little rusty. I mean, we try not to let on to that when we're playing the show or you're doing meetings backstage or whatever you got to do. But my stomach's a little tore up. My sleep is way off, and my wife yesterday was giving me a hard time. She's like, "You just gonna lay around all day?" I go, "Yes, this is my Saturday. Yeah. Yes, I am gonna lay around all day and not do anything productive."
Yeah. Well, and it just the whole thing, the little ring rust. It is what it is. I saw a thing one of the guys put on social media today. Said something to the effect of everybody on Monday after that first concert back hangover. And I'm thinking that applies to us too. And it's not. I mean, I have a little bit of booze hangover because we did what we do. But I mean, let's just.
It's really not even that.
No,
though.
It was dry. It was so dry out there. As soon as we got there, my nose was messed up. My lips are still just all cracked. It's so dry. We flew to Denver, then to Wyoming. We're coming from humid deep south to arid Midwest or arid west. But yeah, we'll just break down the whole weekend. We'll just start from the top. We go to the airport.
Yeah, the flying out there was just the beginning.
So I fly in a day early.
So
meet up with you. My flight was delayed. Coming to meet you, I went from Pensacola to Atlanta, then to Little Rock, and I didn't think I was going to make my connection. But anyway, I did. I finally get there. Didn't get to have any time at the Atlanta airport. Had a 2-hour layover. Thought I was going to go eat some good food, chillax for a minute, get back.
You going to go get some Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, get back in the groove, check some emails. Nope. Stress, hurry, running through the airport, my least favorite thing in the world. And with the mask on, hot. I'm already hot anyway, neck gaiter mask. I'm just burning up. But so anyway, I get to your house. We flip around the next day. You and I are going to fly to Denver to meet Mark and Mr. Rick on your bus so we can go on the bus from Denver to Casper, Wyoming. Josh, guitar player, actually rode the bus out with the bus drivers. So it's just you and I are going to go out there. Well, didn't have any first-class flights for us that looked doable, that were going to be anything less than 2 flights out there. So I said, hey, there's a little plane. It's a direct flight. We'll just take this. Be a quick hour and 45-minute flight. Well, we get to the airport. We're all good. We're going to have us a little snack, have a bevy, as Joey G would say. And we're sitting at the little Chili's restaurant, and we're looking at the menu, and you saw it before I did because I was just going to get a drink. I thought we had plenty of time. We probably had an hour to spare before we boarded. And you noticed that it's a condensed menu, limited menu. And you're like, a lot of the good stuff's not even on this menu. But we look across the hall at the Little Rock Airport, and there's a Chick-fil-A. So we're like, well, we'll just have a drink here, and we'll get some Chick-fil-A. And mind you, our flight's at about 6 o'clock. Yeah, and our flight's at about 6. And at about 2 minutes to 5, you notice they're closing the gates to the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, shutting her down, buddy.
And
it was like they were slamming the jail doors closed, and
it was like the roll-up door at the mall when they closed building or closed stores at the mall, the big rolling gates. Just like you ain't going in, you can't talk to nobody, it's done.
Well, too, it's like Chick-fil-A. It's like, when do you crave Chick-fil-A the most? Sunday when they ain't
every
open.
every time.
and like we were almost tasting it. It was right there, and you see them closing the gate, and you're like, no,
yeah.
But yeah, and I do want to touch on something. You mentioned first class, and I know people are going to be thinking, oh man, they don't have to fly first class. So I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory. So just so you guys don't think that I'm uppity or snobby or whatever.
Yeah, it's not that we don't. It's
that,
just that's preferable.
I think you know that by now. But so when we first started doing this, we traveled in some of the worst possible ways and conditions, and those character building days, as we like to call them. And we talked about some with Travis Tritt, which we'll get into that. What a thrill that was last week. But so we we are required to travel, obviously, for our job. I mean, that's just a part of it. So when I first started doing this, and JR wasn't even with me, you were with another band at the time, but I mean, you're in and out of airports, 2-3 different ones a day at times, and you're flying on, to steal a Ron White reference, you're flying on planes that are about the size of a pack of gum, you know. And
to go to a rental van to pile in.
Yeah, and to drive 3 hours from there, and whatever. And so I've always been terrified of flying, and when I started this, I had done it, I mean, a handful of times when my parents could afford to take us on a vacation that required us to fly. Most of the time we went on vacations where we could drive to them because it was a lot cheaper.
Right.
But I'm talking deathly afraid of flying. And I was like, man, it's taking years off of my life. And so we had some success. We had maybe a first album out or something like that, or maybe even the second one out. And I said, man, my quality of life, I don't splurge on anything. I mean, all the clothes I wear are given to me by somebody, and it's so weird. Like, once you start having hits, like, people just give you guitars and stuff. It's awesome, but really you could use that before,
right? Yeah,
when you couldn't afford anything.
Right.
So I don't spend money on really anything.
No, I tell people that all the time. You ain't got a garage full of cars. You ain't got motorcycles.
No.
Ain't no jet skis.
I mean, my wife has a Tahoe, and I have a F-250.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're nice, but it's just normal stuff, you know. And so
but flying is one of the things
we got bumped to first class at some point by accident, seemingly.
Yeah.
This back when I was talking
on
about
radio tour days.
I was like, oh my gosh, they feed you back in the day. They fed you a meal, you get drinks for free, and it made me a lot more comfortable with my fear of flying. And I said, look, if I've got to fly for my job, I thought you just got on a tour bus and went. I didn't know you had to fly so much. So I was like, look, if that's the only way I splurge and it's a part of my job, a requirement for me to fly, then I'll fly first class from now on. And so anyway, that's where JR was going with that. I just wanted to explain that so people weren't going, boy, look, this pretentious asshole.
Yeah, no.
But it's not like that at all. It just kind of, I was like, well, if I got to do it, it's worth the extra $200-$300 or whatever.
If they had to sit next to their best buddy / boss man and watch him squeeze the little tray that flips down off the thing as hard as I've seen you squeeze, where you gonna break your hands? I'd pay for it myself for you. I'll pay for the upgrade because it's worth it for me for you to fly first class because you ain't really a little shaky up there. I mean, you know.
I know I told you this story before, but nobody listening's probably heard this story. But I flew out of Vegas one time by myself, which I never really do. A, because of my fear of flying, and B, it's just nice to have somebody to travel with on the road when you're in and out of airports, and just it just, I don't know, makes you feel
Watch
better.
you back,
But,
all that. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, kind of the whole thing. But and you know me, I could be flying somewhere and end up on the other side of the country if I'm by myself. I'm just a scatterbrain.
Yeah, if the Hogs are playing softball, you get a little distracted.
Yeah, exactly. So we fly out of Vegas, the worst flight I've ever had in my life, takeoff wise, and it was real bad windy, and it's always pretty bumpy going in and out of Vegas. If you guys out there have flown in and out of Vegas, it's always bumpy because you're coming right over those mountains as soon as you take off or right before you land. And this guy sitting next to me, he was so sweet to me. He's like, we're like 10 minutes into this flight, and it's just banging us all over the place. And I am losing my mind. And I mean, I thought I was going to stomp a hole in the floor. And he goes, man, are you all right? I said, no, I'm not. He goes, and it finally calmed down a little bit. And he goes, I thought you were going to rip the armrest off the seat. I said, man, I was trying. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. I've seen you grab that tray, and first you're tapping on it, and I'm trying not to let on that I know you're nervous because that'll make you worse. And then in a minute, you'll just grab that tray so hard. I'm like, God, he's going to either break his fingers off, break a fingernail, and he's bleeding all over his guitar for the next couple of shows, or we got to buy a tray, and they're probably not cheap, you know. So anyway, so yeah, I'm with you. I think it's obviously I enjoy it too, but I'm not. I don't really have that fear of it. But when you travel as much as we do, that little bit of extra comfort goes a long ways.
Oh,
I mean, it's just
even getting some sleep and stuff. I mean, because you leave out early, and then we got to be on point when we get there.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But anyway, so back to the original conversation.
Yeah.
I just wanted to shed a little light on why we fly first class. But
this week,
so
not so much on first class.
No, it was about it was last class.
Could have been the tinier
is.
plane. I mean, I'm not even that big, but it felt tiny to me, you know.
And my seat wouldn't recline. I don't know if yours would, but it wouldn't. And it was a night flight, so we were like, well, maybe we can get a little rest.
Well, it was.
So we didn't get our damn Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be a 6 o'clock flight. We got delayed 4 hours. It ended up 3.5 hours.
Left at like 9:30.
Yeah, so.
And so so we're hungry. We're half in the bag because we thought we had it timed up perfectly.
Yeah, I had a buzz. Got 8. Got a buzz. Got 8.
Get us some grub. And so we end up getting to Denver at midnight or something like that, and then almost getting a fight with somebody running his mouth at us.
Yeah, and then of course we get to Denver just too late for me to go to all my favorite stores they have in that area, so that was a bummer. But luckily the buses were there, and once we got on there, I got to tell you, as soon as we got on there, and I knew I had like my boots were on there and my hat and some stuff, and just the smell of getting back on the bus, clean, humming, TV's on, sports. It was just like, man, good gosh. It's like after a long day, it's just like going home. Anybody else, when you get off a long day at work, you drive in your vehicle home from work, and you finally get in your house and kick your shoes off. That's the same exact feeling it is when we get on the bus.
Yeah. And then, but then we have, it doesn't stop there.
No, the hits keep coming.
We've talked about, and I think JR and I were discussing some remarks that you guys out there listening have had over the last few weeks, or even the life of this thing, about how you like to hear stories from the road and home and all that. And that, we've mentioned it 100 times on here that's kind of the purpose of this podcast. And so I have been on the road since 2007. And something happened on the road this particular run that is an absolute first for me, and I would think probably all of us out there. Honestly, I'll let you tee it up here.
Yeah.
But so was that the second?
No,
I think that was the second
first
night, maybe. Or
was
that
the first night?
Okay.
The first show we try to get to. So we ended up on.
That's right.
So we ended up getting there. We got to the bus. Woke up next morning. Great day on
Casper,
Wyoming. Absolutely beautiful country. Get out. We're up on a little hill. You can see the mountains. Man, it was beautiful. Wide open country out there. But yeah, so good day on site. Trying to get back in our groove. Remembering what we're doing. I'm going. Just everything. Just getting back in our groove. sound check, all that kind of fun stuff, passes, security meetings, all the normal stuff. But then, so just a great day, really good, decent food at catering. Got to see Tracy and them, BS with him. Saw Lainey, she's there that day. Everybody. See our crew, who we hadn't seen much lately.
Yeah.
And then, so we watch Lainey's set, which was great, by the way. She's going to be a big old star. We'll get to that later.
She's killing
Yep.
it. Man, I feel like she's grown so much as an artist over the last year and a half. And if you guys don't know, Things a Man Ought to Know is her single out right now from her album that we actually had her on the podcast to talk about. I guess this was maybe
about a month
3 months ago.
Yeah.
You can go back and find that episode and find out more about her. But yeah, her single's crushing it. And point being, I thought she grew a ton even from last March or April when we were on the road or whatever it was a year ago.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, ever since we first met her in Baltimore in, I guess, 2019, I knew she had great chops then and had a great attitude and demeanor. And, yeah, she's just grown, and she's awesome. So so she does her set. She's doing it acoustic this round, which is that's a hard feat to do right there, to hold a big old arena full.
That's a tough gig.
Arena full of people
Tough
with an
gig,
acoustic,
man.
and not really having a hit yet. She's got one on the way, but so anyway, so Lainey does her set. We watch it. Tracy, we're all there watching her show. We go back to the bus, shower up, because we're going to try to hurry up and get out and watch Tracy's whole set, because now that we're not doing any meet and greets anytime soon, that used to happen while Tracy was playing, and we had to miss his set every night. So we were like, we'll take advantage and go watch Tracy's set, so we don't have any other obligations right now. So we watched Tracy's set. It's about three, 4 songs left in his set, and we're like, yeah, we probably ought to go start getting dressed and getting our routine, because there's a 25-minute changeover. So what happens in between each act that plays, you have what they call a changeover, which between Lainey and Tracy was about 15 minutes because it's not as much to move, and then between Tracy and you is about 25, 30 minutes because there's more stuff to move around. Gear, different bands play different gear and stuff. So we know we've got 25 minutes of changeover and about 3 songs. So we're like, all right, we'll get back to the bus. That'll give us about 35 minutes, perfect. You can change. You already showered. Well, we get out to the bus. We first walk outside. It's maybe 50 yards from the door to the bus. We realize it is freezing outside. It is 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it was windy that day, but now it's cold and windy.
That's the other thing is all day, man, I think I was wearing shorts, and we've talked about how cold-natured I am. It was beautiful. Yeah. It could not have been prettier weather, and I'm probably 70 degrees, 65, 70 degrees, and beautiful. We don't realize while we had been
inside for an hour,
the arena, for an hour watching their shows, both of them. I mean, it's dropped like 40 degrees. It's 30 degrees.
34 degrees and 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
Snow flurries, the whole thing.
We're still wearing our shorts and stuff.
Basically, yeah. So we get to the bus, and I'm trying to hurry. I'm like, woo. And our bus has a keypad on it, like a lot of modern cars do, where you just put the number in and we open the bus. So I'm pushing the button, nothing. And that happens some. You just have to push the lock button and, let it work itself out. Well, it won't lock. It won't do nothing. It usually has lights on it. Nothing's happening. And I'm like, uh-oh, we got trouble. And you're like, what's wrong? I was like, I can't get the door to open. You're like, you're kidding me. I was like, no, door won't open. And it's freezing. So I'm like, let's go on the band bus. They're all on the bus doing their pre-show thing. So we go on the band bus. And I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good. So I called Jeff, our production manager, who also is he drives the bus some.
He's like MacGyver.
Yeah, Jeff can fix anything. So I get Jeff over there. He troubleshoots a few things. No luck. We usually have a window that's been broken. Well, of course, Mark just fixed it. So the broken window, I can't get in it. The key I have.
Yeah, it doubles as an emergency exit for those out there listening. Like you can, God forbid we had a wreck or whatever, you can climb out of that window. You kind of shove it out. We thought, well, even if we got to break the window, we got to get in, because I can't go on stage looking like this.
You've got like a Razorback sweater, shorts, tennis shoes, ball cap, Anyway, so we get out there and I get Jeff. We're not having no luck. We're not getting this thing open. So I'm trying to be calm on the outside. Inside, I am freaking out. And I get the venue to get a locksmith en route. I'm trying to call Mark at the hotel. Well, they're not supposed to be back at the hotel for like 4 more hours, so they're in a coma. They're passed out at their hotel rooms. All the drivers are.
Right.
So I'm called him like 10 times. He didn't answer. I call the hotel to call his room. He's still not answering. the locksmith shows up. He's not a locksmith. He's a diesel mechanic that's just another MacGyver. So then I'm like really panicking. So I'm like, let's push the.
That's what I got. I remember asking you. You go. The locksmith didn't work out. I go. They called a locksmith that wasn't a locksmith. Like what? I don't understand what you're telling me.
Well,
right
it's
now.
9 something at night. It's not a lot of options, I guess. So I don't know. But anyway, so I'm still trying to get Mark, and I'm trying to figure a way. And at this point, I'm like, yeah, I get a towel. I'm like, I'm just going to try to break one of the windows. They're so high up, I can't get anything to get up to get a good angle. And I'm like, I'm about to cut my hand wide open. And their windows are thick too. Can't get any way to get in the bus. Well, finally, Mark calls me back, and by this point, I'm telling him, let's just push back until we figure something out. And in my head, I'm thinking either we're gonna have to find some clothes from the band and crew or Tracy's band and crew that Justin can wear, or he's just gonna have to play in what he's got. But your ears are on the bus, your in-ear monitors are on the bus.
Yeah,
I mean your hat, boots, all that. So it was no good. So
yeah, if y'all see those packs like when we're on stage that we're messing with behind our backs, turning them up and down in our ears if we're messing with stuff, that's what we're missing, and that's the only way that we can hear ourselves on stage. That's how we hear our instruments. And
it's how you can hear everybody else's instruments and playing in time, all that stuff.
And so it's absolutely necessary that you have those. And we had literally had a conversation earlier in the day, if you remember, and you said, hey, they have to make molds for your ears because they fit specifically to your ear.
Yep.
And the last time I had molds made, think of getting impressions made of your teeth if you're getting, braces or something like that. It's kind of that same, it's exactly that same technology.
Yep.
They shoot it in your ear, and it's a weird feeling. But anyway, so
you just have to do it so often, and it's been 6 years
to do it
since
so
you
often.
did it.
We hadn't done it in 6 or 7 years. And I'm like, well, I've got a couple pair, and they were like, no, you got like one.
You got one and a half, and your backup set has one of them works, and we don't know the 2028's your best pair.
Oh my gosh, ours are on the bus now, and it was just a whole thing. And so this whole thing starts probably, I don't know, 40 minutes before we're supposed to walk on stage. I want to say we were supposed to go on stage at 9:15 maybe or something like that. And we get back at 20 after 8 or something like that.
Right, yep.
And so you're going, we're just going to have to go. And I'm like, we're going to have to push the show back. But a lot of times, and I think we did discuss this on one of the episodes of this, is like a lot of these buildings have curfews. Like you can't play past a certain time or you get fined like thousands of dollars for 1 minute over.
Different situations, different cities, for sure.
Right. And so fortunately there was no curfew in Casper, Wyoming, thank God. And we were able to push the show back because all the band guys are going, well, I got some jeans, I got some boots, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna go out there looking like I'm wearing y'all's clothes. Like I said, I'd rather just go out there in my shorts and my tennis shoes and ham it up, and instead of pretending that I look normal.
Right. So during this time, though, as we talked about earlier, the fabulous Lainey Wilson, they asked her if she minds getting back up and doing a few more to keep the crowd at bay until we can figure something out. And of course, being the rock star she is, she said she was in her dressing room taking a nap because they were just driving each city in a van. Just heard her manager, Mandolin. Yeah. Shout out Mandolin. She's awesome. Mandolin wakes her up and's like, hey, they want you to go back on and do a few. And she's like, all righty. So she jumps back up there and does a few. After Tracy Lawrence gets up there and just knocks you over the head with about 16 hits in a row, 16 of his 25. And you got to go on as a new artist acoustic after a legend plays, in between a current guy. So she gets up, holds the crowd at bay, which is awesome. So awesome on her part. So that buys us a little more time. Well, during this time, we're trying to figure stuff out still. Mark, our bus driver, wakes up and calls me. And he's like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And I'm freaking. I'm like, did you get your message? He's like, no, I just came up to have a cigarette and saw I missed your call 10 times in a row. So I explained to him what's going on. He says, send the runner on the way. I'm going back to my room. I think I got a spare key, or I'll get back over there. I'll get it open. No worries. Just sooner you can get the runner here. I said, she's already on her way. So runner picks him up, brings him back. Of course, he goes right into duty. He knew to grab something off the other bus. What had happened was the batteries had went dead. The co-driver, who's like talking about ring rust, he forgot to turn the key all the way off that day when they left, and it ran the batteries down. So
and what's weird about that is earlier in the day I had noticed that. I thought that I had, and I thought, well, I'm not going to mess with anything. So up front on these buses, like, we have, what are these buses? 48 feet long?
Yeah.
So we have 43 foot or
Right.
whatever, the tires. And these drivers have like 5 foot tires, and you don't really want to mess with their area. It's just a kind of a respect thing. And these buses have so many buttons, and it looks like an airplane
really does.
or something up there. And, we know the typical things if the satellite goes out or if the,
generator quits.
There's something wrong with the water or the generator. We kind of can mill around there and figure
letting the
it
slides
out.
in, the windows down. We can do a few things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I saw that, and I saw a screen on that I don't remember ever seeing on. But in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe I just don't remember because it's been so long or whatever, And I should have probably mentioned it, in hindsight. But I thought, well, I mean, these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Well, yeah, and sometimes there's stuff on
and
it.
that's their space.
Yeah, well, and sometimes that's just like the buses are rusty too. These stuff needs to be fixed. This sensor's not working because I know the water thing says it's always full, and Mark's already told me that that's not right. It's the sensor's messed up. So I mean, there's things like that. It could say engine problem. Well, they know what it is, so it's just like you said, they usually got it under control, and they did this time. Just Rick Presley forgot to turn the key all the way off. But like I said, ring rust. We forgot, ain't been on the road. So long story short, long story even just a hair longer, I guess I'd say. Mark comes to the rescue, finally gets a battery charger off the crew bus. We finally get an extension cord, get the battery hooked up. I'm holding the charger in the air because the cord's not long enough till we can get one to get it on charge. And it charges the bus up just enough. He unlocks the door. I bang on the front of the band bus. I'm like, let's go. And 15 minutes later, we're on stage rocking, and I let out a rebel scream so bad in the back because I was so happy we finally pulled it off. But we probably were about 45 minutes late, but
nothing like having your feet to the fire.
The first
show
one.
back, and we were so excited. And so I guess all that being said, if you happen to have been at that Casper, Wyoming show, thank you so much for your patience.
Yes.
We don't like to show up late.
Yes.
And we don't make a habit of that, but we were dealing with something we had, again, never dealt with on the road. I mean, I've had buses catch on fire. I mean, we've had all kinds of things go on. That's a new one for me. That is a new
even
one.
like everybody's like, you don't have a key, and I had some keys in my work box, but they were to the old bus because forever I had carried keys to every bus we ever had, never needed them. Not one time have I ever needed the keys.
Yeah.
So
that's the way it always goes.
I quit getting them
right?
because I was
when you don't need it, you have it, and
but
vice
you can bet
versa.
we've got 5 sets on standby right now. But anyway,
Yeah.
that was it.
No doubt
So
about it.
we were. It was stressful, but the show was great. Great crowd, great energy.
Great.
The building people were great. This is the first show they'd had since everything went down. I think all 3 venues actually, but and getting to see Tracy, and then you and the band guys had a great show. It was just cool to get back in the swing of things. So
3 in a row, man. It's the first time we've done 3 in a row in 13, 14 months.
Yeah.
We've done a spot date here or there. We've played Billy Bob's, which we've discussed, and that's always a lot of fun, obviously. But to have the chance to really feel like we were doing our normal job again for the first time in over a year, I mean, it was a lot of fun. We got to, like you said, watch Laney's shows. We got to watch all of Tracy's shows. Shout out to Tracy for I was picking at him when we were out before we got shut down, that there was 2 songs that he wasn't playing in his set that I was begging him every night to play. That was Used to the Pain, which was a song he put out in, I would say, the early to mid 2000s. It wasn't ever a really big hit for him. It was a single, but I loved the song. And then another song that was a really big hit for him was Somebody Paints a Wall.
Monster.
And I had been begging him to play both of those. And so in consecutive nights, he played both of those for me and sent them out to me. We got to have some cocktails with him, hang out, tell some stories.
Oh, I'm going to get to that too. I'm going to get to having
so much
cocktails with
fun.
Tracy.
Oh, yeah, that's
hey,
right.
so just so everybody out there knows, because I just love this line, sing them that opening lick to Paints the Walls.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, you're hooked instantly, as JR and I were discussing. So if you haven't heard this song, go listen to it, download it, or stream it, or whatever. But if my old truck was a horse, I'd have to shoot it. Lord, today my ship came in. I was waiting for a train. Every time I get a grip, I always lose it. I can't find the sunshine for the rain. And you know I'm always saying I'm sorry, but you stand by me through it all. Seems every time I make my mark, somebody paints the wall.
I mean, it doesn't get any better.
Don't get any
my
better.
Hair of my arms is standing up. I mean, that's
Mine
just
too.
so good. It's so well written. What
And
a great, clever idea. I mean, God almighty.
Yeah, so that was actually originally a George Jones cut, and I don't think George Jones ever singled it. I think he just had it on an album, and Tracy singled it, and it was a big record for him. I don't know if it was a number one or not, but it was a huge record for him. And
I mean, it's just telling that
got to see
idea
him do all
and
that.
and that idea of a song in the countryest, the coolest, countryest. I mean, just way you could possibly say those words. And anyway,
every time I make my mark, somebody paints a wall.
It makes so much sense.
I mean, it's so good. But that first line, if my old truck was a horse, I'd have to shoot
and
it.
I'm waiting.
I mean, that's just
My
so
ship
good.
came in, and I'm waiting for a train. I mean, it's so clever.
Yeah.
And it's so smart, but country
So
as hell.
good.
Yeah, loved it.
I think that was on his first or second album, and I'm sure it's been on Greatest Hits albums and stuff like that. But yeah, go check that out. It's called Somebody Paints a Wall, and again, Laney's her newest single, which jumped mine this past week, which kind of irritates me. I was picking at her about that, but I'm kidding. I'm thrilled for her. But it's called Things a Man Ought to Know. It's great and it's off of her debut album on a major label, which, do you remember the title of that album?
The album is
JR?
Saying What I'm Thinking.
Saying What I'm
She's
Thinking.
on Broken
That's
Bow.
exactly right.
Yep.
She's on Broken Bow. But and then, so Tracy and I came out and we did a couple of encore songs together, as we did when this tour was going hot and heavy. And then I talked Laney into coming out before Tracy got back up with us, and we did Islands in the Stream a couple of the nights, which was a ton of fun, and I'm sure that'll be on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody captured it.
Yeah.
But, it was a lot of fun too. But yeah, she killed it, he killed it, and we didn't hopefully we didn't totally kill the show and ruin it for everybody. But it was a lot of fun, a lot of great fans we got to see. Actually, the last night was really cool, as you know, JR, because everyone who was at the third show, which was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Sioux Falls, I believe.
Yep. Sioux Falls was the last show. Yep.
South Dakota. They were all frontline healthcare workers. Yep. And so
over 5,000.
That was really, really neat to be able to just in a way kind of give back a little bit, to all them.
Very cool of the city to put that on too for them.
Yeah, it was really, really neat, neat. So, but it was fun, and then I get to go play golf with TL here this weekend. He's doing his inaugural golf tournament. He always has a turkey fry every year that benefits a whole bunch of different great places and organizations and efforts, charitable efforts. But throughout this whole thing, it was just kind of his brainchild to put together a golf tournament, and I'll be a part of that this weekend. I believe. Well, actually, next Monday, but Sunday and Monday, and so anyway, that's gonna go to a lot of different great. Charitable efforts.
He told us all about it, and he was
a lot of the music people who have been affected by entertainment being down for so long. It's going to be a lot to that, and then the mission,
First
that
Harvest
he
Food
has with
Bank
his,
and all that stuff.
yeah, with this turkey fry. And so it's funny. We asked him. We was like, "Who's coming?" He goes, "Everybody." Everybody. He's just with that swag.
Oh,
of
dripping
his.
country swag. Yeah, and then his tour manager,
So-
Opie, sent me the list, and I was like, damn, everybody is coming. So
Yeah, literally
So-
everyone. Yeah.
so I will be in
glad to be a
yeah,
part of that.
I will
too.
be in attendance too, brother. And speaking of the in-ear monitors, I've got our company that makes those for you coming to the bus before the golf tournament to get you some new ones. So we're not down to 1.5 pair anymore. So we're
There
getting
you
that.
go.
We're getting that
So
handled.
we got keys and we got new monitors
Yep.
on the way.
Yep.
So we should be set. We're it's going to take us a little while. We told people on stage it's going to take us a while to work out the kinks.
Yeah.
We're rusty. Obviously, we've overused that word today, but it's true. But I promise you this: you come to a show, we're going to give you every single ounce of energy we
Yep.
got. We might make some mistakes, but we're going to do it going 100 miles an hour.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to give a shout out to our second show, which is in Rapid City, South Dakota. I want to give a shout out to the Boot Barn, everybody over at the Boot Barn over there, because we had a nice little outing over there. And speaking of getting new stuff, we actually got some new boots. So that's always good because it's been a long time since we got to get any show boots. And I went through mine, and mine are just all just pathetic, torn up from road wear. So shout out to those guys over at Boot Barn. That was awesome. Get to hang out and just go look around at some boots because every now and then we'll go to a Western store. We're on the road, but we ain't been able to do that. So that was cool. And also something new. Before I forget, y'all go check out Lainey's Instagram page today. She put up a cool picture because I'll just go ahead and say it. She was on a loaner guitar this weekend. I was talking to her manager, and all her guitars are messed up. So we usually get tour gifts for each other, and usually we get them something cool built and this and that. But it got so disrupted last year that Justin found out she needed a new guitar and actually went and got her a guitar, and we gave it to her on the second show or the third show, and she put a picture of it up today. It's a beautiful Martin guitar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Justin made the comment, you've bought a Martin finally. You still don't own one, though.
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a little bit of a little more inside baseball. It's customary for especially the headliner, but most of the time, and this is something you learn really early on in your career that otherwise you wouldn't have a clue about. So I'm assuming you guys out there listening and watching probably wouldn't know this either. But it's customary to get each other tour gifts at the end of each tour. Now, obviously, we didn't get to have the tour that we had planned to do, but we knew that this potentially was the last time this complete package would be together. And JR had found out that she was struggling having a guitar that would stay in tune. And when you're out there, we mentioned how difficult it is to be out there. Acoustic by yourself in an arena full of people. It's fun, but it's tough,
Oh, yeah.
Especially with no hit record. It gets a lot easier once you have hits.
Mm-hmm.
And people are engaged and singing along and all that. But, if you can't keep your guitar in tune and you're the only musician out there, that makes it 10 times as hard. And I said, well, let's just go get her a guitar. I need to get her a tour gift anyway. Yep. And so, like JR said, usually we try to do something, and most artists try to do something like this, where you get something made that's custom, whether it's a guitar or, I've gotten guns, I've gotten boots, I've gotten guitar straps, belts,
buckles,
all kinds of stuff. Buckles, yeah. One of the coolest I ever got was Rascal Flatts. When we were out on the road with those guys, it was Easton Corbin and then us and then Rascal Flatts. This must have been back in, 2012 or something.
Yeah, it's before me, I know.
And they got me a 50 cal Desert Eagle pistol.
Oh, nice.
That I still use to this day, and it was like number 65 of 100 made,
nice.
or something crazy like that. Had my name engraved on it and all. That's just one example.
Did Miranda get you?
Brantley.
Didn't she get you some?
She got me a revolver.
That was sweet.
Which was really cool. Had my initials on it. Brantley got me an AR. This was years ago too, but it has a Razorback all over it.
Yeah,
and
I was
stuff.
around for that. I remember
still-
it. Yeah, it was.
I still use all. But
Yeah,
anyway,
anyway.
we try to do things like that. But she needed a guitar, and it was a really cool moment. And she was like, I can't wait to hopefully be able to do this for somebody one day. And you know, we've all kind of, or at least myself, I can only speak for myself. I was very fortunate when I was in her position that people did it for me. So it was really neat. I would never have brought it up, but since you brought it up, I figured I would give a little bit of the backstory.
For sure. Yeah, well, and like I said, it was something she needed then too, so it worked out good. She actually played it.
But to your to your point, I the only guitar that I don't have that I've always wanted is an old Martin, and I've never really found the one that I just absolutely love. And so we went to a guitar place and I played a handful of different guitars. I thought I'll just pick her something that I like. I didn't necessarily go in there to buy a Martin, and it happened to be the first guitar I picked up. I loved it, and so yeah, I have now bought a Martin, but I still don't own a Martin. So
we're on the look. We're on the lookout.
know.
We're gonna find it eventually. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was cool that the way it all went down. Hell, about had me teared up in there. But yeah, she put a sweet pick up and a sweet little note for us on there today. It was very cool of her. So y'all go check that out. And back to Tracy. We'll go ahead and tell this story, and then we'll take us a little break here.
I know where you're going.
Yeah,
with this.
we'll take a little break. We'll come back, and I got a pile of Q&A I want to knock out today. Won't have a guest today. We're just going to do some Q&A, but y'all stay tuned because we've got some great guests lined up for the next couple of shows. Maybe not next week, but definitely the week after, and then following we'll nail a couple more down here soon. So
yeah, and to that point, JR, just before we forget, just want to say thank you a ton again to Travis Tripp for coming on. I mean, that was just beyond being a huge thrill for JR and I. I thought he was incredible as a guest, and I mean, we got tons of mentions on our social media how people thought that might have been the best one yet, and I couldn't disagree with that. He was great and forthcoming and just super, super cool and humble and down to earth, and don't know him as well as some of the other folks we've had guests appear on the podcast, but now feel like when we see each other at a festival or something, we'll have a rapport, So that was really cool. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on him to text me his number so we can call him at 2:30 in the morning next time we're up partying, watching YouTube videos of him.
No doubt about it.
But speaking of staying up late and having a few and watching YouTube videos, I saw on Whiskey Riff had posted a thing last week about Tracy telling the story about us on tour last year and him putting, quote, in the not to quote because I don't have the whole thing in front of him, but basically he said the thing that basically he buried everybody in our outfit on the road one night drinking and partying and put everybody down. I just want to come out and put a little extra facts on top of that. While yes, Tracy does like to get it and he's a legend, no doubt, but he didn't get all of us. He basically got he got a couple of them for sure, and I'm gonna go ahead and call them out.
He got the weak ones,
right, or the rusty ones.
He got those. Yeah, he got the ones that had their heels nipped, and they were back of the herd.
I got a couple of emails and texts that next day saying, or comments saying, I know he didn't put you down, did he? Now and I was like, no, let's go. So that's why that preps me to come on and make this little thing, which I'm just giving Tracy a hard time. He's also.
You told him.
Full disclaimer. Yeah, I told him. Oh yeah, I strut that ass, Tracy. I'm gonna tell it. So yeah, he said he buried everybody. Not actually all the way true. He did, though, in fact, bury our drummer, Tucker Wilson, and our band leader / guitar player, Roger Lee Coleman II. So
got him.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what happened. So we get back to the bus. The band guys go to their bus. Me and Justin go to his bus. Takes us a minute to, change over a little more comfies before we go hang out. So you're calling Kate or something. I said, well, I'm gonna go check. Or I get a text from one of the band guys saying, hey, Tracy and Joe, his longtime fiddle player, are on the band bus throwing down. Y'all come on. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna head on over. And you're like, well, I'll catch up in a bit. I'm gonna call Kate. I say, all right, I'm gonna head on over. So by the time I get over there, yeah, they're normal raging. I mean, listening to music, they're arguing who's going to play the next song. From what I remember was Roger and Tucker wanted to hear bluegrass, and Tracy wanted to listen to like Aerosmith. He wanted to rock, and they wanted to listen to bluegrass or something like that. So they're doing shots, they're partying, everybody's laughing, singing as loud as they can. You know, we're pounding beers, you know, doing shot, all that stuff. I want to say it was some tequila. So maybe Tracy's known to have a bottle of Pappy on hand. So it was, we were getting down, no doubt. Well, I go back over to talk to you for a minute.
Hopefully TL's wife don't listen to this.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, he's under control. He's never driving. He's always under control.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm joking.
And Opie's there like I am, just in case. Well, you know, keep ourselves in track. That's what you were saying earlier about going to the airport. That's just something I learned in college. Always have one of your buddies with me. You ain't ever going to get punched in the back of the head as long as one of your buddies is with you. You can at least help each other out a little bit. So, so I go check on you, and I go back to the band bus. Well, by this time, it hadn't been about 15, 20 minutes. Roger and Tucker are just absolutely plowed. Oh, that's it. As I'm going on, Tracy and Opie and Joe were coming off the bus laughing, just his belly laughing. And I try to say something to them, and they just can't even talk to me. They're laughing so hard going back to their buses. Well, I get on the band bus, and yeah, Dave and Josh are up there trying to help Tucker and Roger because they are just pitiful drunk. I mean, just can't stand on their own account, just not making sense. And I'm like, what in the hell happened to y'all? I was just up here. Everything was fine. What are y'all doing? So they're just pitiful. Tucker goes and yaks. Roger yaks in a trash can. Tucker's in the bathroom. And you can tell this part because this is about the time you showed up on the scene was me, the interaction between me and the band guys following this. So just to catch up, it wasn't all of us, but it definitely was two of us. And it wasn't Justin and I. But the story Tracy told was great, and I'm sure he'll get us next time. But anyway.
Well, yeah, so I just know, like, where... And I feel like the older I've gotten and the more experience I've gotten acting a fool, I've learned when and where to choose my spots. Yep. I'm not always on point, but I think Tracy had said, "Why don't y'all ride my bus tonight or something?" And I'm like, that sounds it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
B, it also sounds like if I do that, I will not be able to pull off playing my 90-minute show tomorrow night.
You can feel the hangover coming on.
So I just kind of try to slow play it and stay away, you know, until I realize things may be calming down or whatever. Anyway, so I go up on the bus, and you were flat out giving it to Tucker and Raj, our drummer and guitar player. And I'm thinking to myself, you're just so disappointed in them for, you know, having a few too many.
Throwing up on the floor, throwing up on the couch.
But no, you are berating them because they are making us look bad in front of a legend by not being able to hang with him.
I was disappointed that they couldn't handle their liquor.
That was that was the thing. So I thought that was always a funny little caveat there.
I was disappointed. I mean, I was disappointed that they got too drunk and puked, didn't use better judgment, but also they ought to know not to. You can't go toe-to-toe with a legend and just get buried.
You can't go, you can't go toe-to-toe with the champ.
No,
I mean, look, everybody, like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Right. You know, I'm thinking, and Tracy probably set it up. He probably slow-rolled into the evening. These guys were probably, and this just coming off our set, too. There wasn't no rest. They had just come off energy high, buzzed up. No excuses for them. But I'm like, guys, y'all cannot do this. That is a legend. Y'all are ruining our reputation. They're going to tell everybody we just can't hang. Obviously, they did. They went out and told. Tracy told the story that all of us can't hang. So I want to bring this up. Now, some of us can hang, as y'all all know. But those two guys could not. And I'm like, what y'all? But I get it, though. In hindsight, I get it, man. They had Tracy on the bus partying with a legend. I've been there. I've said stupid stuff when I was younger, and you know, I remember one time I told Ron White the worst joke on earth, and I thought, God, what an idiot.
That's a great story. You got to tell that.
Let me tell that one real quick. All right.
That's a great one.
But back to that. We love you, Tracy Lawrence, but the actual story, not 1,000% true. A lot of truth in it, though. Didn't bury everybody. Definitely buried Tucker and Roger. And then fast forward to this past weekend. I go on to give this one before I tell the Ron White story real quick. But this past weekend, so the first night, we're all excited. So we're on your bus till leaving time at 2 a.m, having a good old time. Me, you, Joe, Tracy,
Tucker,
the
Tracy,
same culprits, Opie, the whole bunch. and we're
same motley
yeah, right.
crew, yeah.
So we're watching YouTube videos of Tracy on the bus with Tracy.
Yeah.
You're like, this doesn't make you like weird or nothing. He's like, hell no, it's fine. And watching like him and George Jones in the early '90s and stuff, and different stuff too. But and playing some new music, which is really cool. Y'all, Tracy's got 30 for 30 this year. He's doing 3 albums for his 30th anniversary, 30 brand new songs, and I got to hear 5 or 6 of them. Boy,
they're awesome.
So good.
And another really cool conversation he and I had, which he won't even, well, he probably will, but I was going to say he may not even realize how much it means to me, but it does. Just give you a brief, part of it is I was like, man, I was telling y'all earlier I wanted him to sing those 2 songs. I'm like, I'll come out and sing them with you.
Yeah.
Whatever I got to do. I just want you to play them. He's like, you can't come out and sing with me. You're the headliner. I go, you're Tracy Lawrence. I don't care, man. You're one of my heroes. He goes, you guys knock that off. He goes, we're peers. And so, point being, it just, for somebody like me who has so much admiration for him to say that to me and believe that it's really super, super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. That goes back like you doing that for Laney, him saying that to you. It all works. It's it's a whole big family of us out here. That's why That's why I call everybody brother and sister on the road, because we're all family out here. So Uncle Tracy or Big Brother Tracy, I guess I'd say, because he'd be like the cool big brother that would let me have cigs when I was too young, and probably let me smoke pot, and
and Laney's like our
little country cousin that we only see every so often when they get done with the crops that year. They'll come to town, and Tracy drives the Camaro, and all that stuff's got all the cool 8 tracks.
I figure he probably had an IROC Z with T-top.
Something like that. Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
With the CB
or the Smokey and the Bandit Firebird
CB antenna, 8 tracks, Waylon and Aerosmith apparently. But so he came on the bus that night. And we tore it up. We turned it on up to the point where I tried to give Opie a shot. And he's like, I'm done. I was like, yeah, first time he's ever turned me down. And they finally peel off the bus. And but Tracy, before we left, we got to talking. And I remember we thought this was funny. I said something about, boy, this, I bet it's tough on y'all up here with all this this thin air. Up here where we're at this altitude. And he's like, hell no, I'm just fat. I said, hell, you are not. You look exactly the same as us. He said, yep, the last 2 weeks I just ate good. So apparently it only takes him 2 weeks to not feel great. Like he ate bad for 2 weeks. Says he looks exactly the same as I saw him last time. So it's just him giving himself a hard time, or being funny. He's hilarious. But so he kept saying he was going to, but I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to jog and run and this and that. And that next,
I'm gonna run for like 2
he
hours.
said, I'm just gonna run and run tomorrow. And he usually does.
I ain't seen him. I didn't see him till catering at 5:30. I said, "How's that run?"
Was that jog?
He goes, "Oh hell, I didn't make it."
Didn't make it. But normally he does. He is good. I see him all the time getting in the van going to the gym. So I'm just giving him a hard time.
Yeah, he's a lot better than I am.
So, but yeah, he didn't make that run. And then the next night, Opie didn't drink at all during any of it. And I text Tracy at about 12:30 after we got back on the bus. I said, round 2, where y'all at? Crickets. So just so say that there. So I'll give him another chance next time we do a show to bury me. So anyway, I'm picking. Don't try, Tracy. I really don't want none, but I just thought I'm doing it for shits and giggles. But it was funny hearing that story and then how it all plays out. But we love Tracy Lawrence. God, that was great getting to see him work and his band and crew work for a couple of days in a row. And hearing Laney's new song, it's just a smash. So that was cool. Lots of love to our touring buddies that we just got off the road with. I had a great time. It was good to get back. Glad to be home. But like I told you yesterday, and y'all had some of it too. And I know, talking about Opie, when I say Opie, that's Tracy's tour manager. He lives not far from Justin there in Arkansas. They're all Arkansas guys. And we had a big storm come through while we were Saturday night while we were in South Dakota that I guess I just wasn't paying attention to the news because we were busy on the road. But apparently we had a crazy storm. My wife called me at 3:30 in the morning and said hail woke her up. So I look on the news and apparently we had just a rough storm all along the South. I mean, y'all had trees down, hail.
It must have been all along the South. Held here as well.
Trees down and stuff.
Trees down. We lost power for, I don't know, 12 hours or something like that. And it was
bad.
It must have got a a little dicey there, but
I just did,
everybody's good, and we didn't have any cars tore up or anything like that. Thank goodness. And you guys, I know you were concerned about you. Hell, you just put a roof on.
And it didn't ding it up too bad. It's fine.
Well, that's good.
And Sharice, you'll love this. Sharice admitted to it. My truck was at the airport in Pensacola, and for once, I parked in the parking garage. I usually park it outside, but I parked in the parking garage for once. Just one more $1, but I usually save the $1. But I was like, I'm just going to park in there today because I just washed my truck, and I was like, well, at least it'll be a little better when I get back than just out. And so it was okay, but she parked under my big live oak that's in my backyard by my studio and by her salon, because we have my studios on one side, her salon's on the other.
The one she wanted to cut down, and I was like, no,
That's what.
It's such a cool tree.
So that's what she admitted to. She said, I think the tree that I wanted to get cut down that y'all talked me out of is what actually saved my. It slowed the hail from hitting too direct on, because in my yard right now it looks like post-hurricane. There's limbs and leaves everywhere and stuff, debris. Wow. But so she got out okay, but I actually talked to my mom earlier today. I haven't talked to him yet, but apparently both of Grice's vehicles got windows smashed out and dented up real bad. And his brand new roof has a bunch of dings on it. He just got a roof a few months before I did. They're in Orange Beach, so I take it Orange Beach had a little bigger hail than we had here, because I saw tons of pictures of cars just smashed and campers and stuff, holes going through people's campers in the state park and stuff. Wow. So it was
unreal. It's amazing how much damage hail can do. You kind of, or at least I always kind of forget about hail as a form of precipitation, but man, it can do some damage. I don't remember, and it just comes out of nowhere.
I remember the last time I remember a bad hailstorm. It was probably like 93, 94. I was with my mom going to the dentist in Montgomery, and her car got messed up, and it was middle of the day. Came through, and it was over. They were about the golf ball size, but I was 14 or something. Is the last time I remember something like that. And I know people that live down here for 35 years and have said that they've never seen hail like that down here. And Sharice said it actually hailed in Houma, which it doesn't do that there either. So who knows? Hopefully it'll get it all out of its system. We'll have a nice end of the spring into summer.
For sure.
So anyway,
for sure, we kind of lucked out here, and we ironically today, as we're recording this, if you've heard blowers and different things, we've got our crew that comes and does like a quarterly
rehab
redo of our kind of cleaning everything, because everything's been dead, and but. They're here today, so it kind of saved me from having to get out there and doing it all myself, because if, had it been, that we're 2 months away from that,
I know,
I would have been out there doing it. So they happened to be booked to come today.
Yeah, good call on that.
Redo our flower beds and our mulch and our, all that stuff. And so we kind of lucked out as far as timing goes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had just got mine clean for Easter. I think I said that last week on the podcast. First time since the hurricane. So we get off today. I'm going to get out here and get on it because it's supposed to start raining again tomorrow. All transparency, we're recording this on the 13th on a Tuesday, and apparently it's supposed to start raining again tomorrow. And then we've got to go to Nashville this weekend for Tracy's tournament and get you some new ears and all that stuff. So I got some work to do when we get off, and
we're supposed to get it tonight and all day tomorrow.
Is that what it says there?
So,
yeah. So and I just don't know. Normally all that goes a little north of us, but lately it's been right on us. So I'm gonna try to be prepared. I know my gutters, I can see pine limbs hanging out of them, so I got to get up on top of my studio's 2 stories, so I got to get up there and get that out. Not looking forward to it, but I feel better today than I did yesterday. So that was a long way of saying we had a great time on the road. We don't quite have our sea legs under us yet, but we're going to get all the kinks worked out. Thank you to Casper, Wyoming, Rapid City, South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You guys were great. We had a blast. It was good to see fans in the stands having a good time and watching the music heal. So we look forward to getting back out. I know we've got a private show here week after next, and then we've got some stuff trickling in. So y'all make sure to go to justinmooremusic.com and go on the tour page, and that's all of our dates. I know people are asking me about some of these dates. Are they going to move? If it's on there, that's what we're scheduled to do, but I'm not saying stuff still won't move, but tentatively that's where we're going to be, and hopefully we're going to be adding to that over the next few weeks as after, when summer kicks in, hopefully we'll get over the hump on this thing and get back to rocking. So,
and we're only seeing less cancellations
Yeah.
as we
Yep.
move forward, not more. So that's a good sign as
definitely
well.
see more popping up. Hey, and two, I want to say if you haven't already, we've got a live stream coming up soon. That'll be part of something we've got to get done while we're on our travels here soon. So y'all make sure to go ahead and get your ticks to that. That'll be April 17th, live from the barn, Justin and the band.
That's this Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why we got to
Yeah.
go Friday. Okay, that makes sense. That's why we're going a day earlier. Everybody, Sharice was asking me, well, the tournament's not till Monday. There you go. So y'all make sure to go ahead and get your ticks to that. Get some buddies together, watch it. Get your girlfriend, significant other, wife, whatever. Hang out. It'll be a good show. It's beautiful setting, and it's a live JM show. So until we get back on the road, y'all eat that up, and we'll see y'all soon. I had a few things I want to run down before we take a little quick break and come back from this pile of Q&A. I want to try to hack at a little bit today. I want to say sports world. We can go back on some of that afterwards, but want to say happy trails to the great Roy Williams from the University of North Carolina. Prior to that, Kansas. Great. I think he was the third all-time winningest coach of all time, something like that.
Sounds about right.
Retiring.
Incredible.
Yeah, retiring now. So I'm sure he's going to have a good time fishing or playing golf, whatever he does. Good on you. And another game type thing, I'm going to put the link on here, and I'm going to get Cody to share it on here. A buddy of mine, a knucklehead, Cody Oxley, my brother over in Texas via Georgia, sent me a thing the other day, and it was podcast bingo. And it's basically bingo cards you can print out with different things I guess we say every episode.
Oh, yeah, you sent me that. That was great.
So I'm going to put the link up to that. So y'all look out for podcast bingo. Print you out some or however you need to do it, and send me some pictures of your podcast bingo, and I'll give y'all some shout outs and talk about that next time we do some Q&A. I thought that was
And I find myself, since seeing that, being self-conscious about, like, oh, don't say this, don't say that.
Just part of,
you say it
it's
too
just
much.
part of it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, you want it raw and real, here it is. It's just, hey, we said it from shoot, we're not professional. You're a professional entertainer. I'm just a tour manager, but we're not journalists. We're not, this is not what we do.
Yeah.
So it's just some good old boys chopping through it. So that's what you're getting, and that goes back to that. But I want to say thank you for Cody Cody Oxley for putting that together. I want to give a shout out to our brother Cody V that takes care of all our podcast stuff. He's down with the COVID. It's he's still lingering on a little bit, but I heard he's on the road to recovery, so I hope he gets well soon, and want to thank him for all he does, making sure the podcast gets out every week in the fashion it does, looking and sounding as good as it possibly can, working with said two hillbillies. So I guess we'll take a break real quick, and then for our sponsors and station identification, and then we'll jump back on here in just a minute to get on some Q&A on this episode 10 of season 3 of the Justin Moore podcast. Stay tuned, everybody.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to remind you guys that today's podcast is sponsored by Bobcat Company, who has honestly blown me away with the amount of cool and useful equipment that they offer. I didn't know they had all the stuff that they do, to be honest with you. You know Bobcat for their loaders, as I did. They're the ones that invented the skid steer 60-plus years ago, and today they make a Toolcat utility work machine, zero-turn mowers, compact tractors, and honestly a ton of other cool stuff that makes it not only easy, but a whole hell of a lot of fun to get work done on your property. So check them out at bobcat.com. Welcome back into the Justin Moore podcast. This is season 3, episode 10. I'm Justin Moore. With me, like always, is JR, the handler. Also want to remind you guys while I'm thinking of it, if you happen to be in the central Arkansas area, we are now our podcast is now being played Friday nights at 7 Central on 106.7, the Buzz 2 radio station out of Little Rock that I'm a huge fan of and have become friends with the guys and gals over there. And it's a pretty neat opportunity if you happen to be in this area. I know I've spoken with some people, JR, over the last 2, 3, 4 months that, quite frankly say, hey, Justin, I'm listening to your podcast right now. Well, not only can you listen anywhere you find your podcast, but if you happen to be in the central Arkansas area, or quite frankly, if you have the TuneIn app or something of that nature, it's 106.7, the Buzz 2. it's just another way to find us. Again, that's 7 p.m. Central in Central Arkansas. So anyway, pretty neat for me. But just wanted to touch on some softball, baseball, and basketball as we always try to keep up with some sports stuff. SEC softball. So quite frankly, we haven't been really great in softball at Arkansas until we got our current coach here. It's been a while. Courtney Deifel, I want to give her a shout out. Haven't had the opportunity to meet her, but I'm obviously a big fan. She's got us leading the SEC right now, quite frankly. But we had our very first top 10 matchup this past weekend. We were ranked 8th, playing number 3 Alabama. So you guys took 2 of 3 from us, but they were 3 really good games. And just wanted to say, you know me, I was watching them on the bus. Yeah. You and I were, and enjoyed that series. And really a hit here or there. The games go differently, but you guys took 2 of 3. I think we're still up a game maybe in the West just because we had started maybe 12-0 or something like that in the SEC. But I know you guys are and us are still in the top 10 even after that series, so that's pretty awesome.
So impressive what those gals do, man. Watching them from that short a distance, slinging that ball and hitting as hard as they do, it's a whole different game than baseball. Yep. I mean, you and I were discussing on the road, but it's so fun to watch them play. And then my girls, we got home Sunday off the road. I went directly to practice for my 6-year-old Klein for a couple of hours. And last night, which would be Monday night, as we're recording this, had a doubleheader. They won both games, and she caught, which is just hilarious. Klein did?
Tiny. Yeah, Klein.
That is so fun.
And I caught, for those out there listening, I was a catcher, but none of my girls really have taken an interest up in catching, and she wants to catch for some reason. So we got work to do, but
just catching and smiling. I could just see her smiling ear to ear back there. So,
and she took one off her right arm, and and my mom was trying to explain to her. She's like, "Your daddy got hit every game. You're gonna be back there catching now. You got to be tough." But she's our baby girl, and we pretty much baby her, to be honest with you, as JR knows. But anyway, they're 5-1 now, so that's awesome. I've got another doubleheader tonight with my 10U team, which is really Kennedy's team, our middle daughter. But Ella, our oldest daughter, is also playing on the team. And we went 2-0 for our first 2 games last week, so hoping for another 2-0.
I got to see those. That was great.
2-0 evening. Yeah, you did.
To catch those. Yep.
This evening, and then our 12U, we'll have a tournament upcoming, and we're all excited because we just got all of our sweet New Balance uniforms in. So that's what they're all excited about.
Roll Tribe.
There you go. And then baseball, my Hogs are back at number 1, consensus number 1 in America. We are, I believe, 25-5 or 26-5, something like that. And first in the SEC, we had a wild series with Ole Miss this past weekend. We took 2 of 3 from them in Oxford at Swayze Field. So that's exciting for me. And then in Major League Baseball, the Braves, we talked about last week, being 0-3, 0-4, something like that. They've started playing a little better baseball, and they're 4-6 and 3rd in the NL East right now. So only a couple, 2.5 games back, something like that. And so hopefully that trend of them playing a little better will continue, JR, for me and you. And I also want to say, as we're on the topic, had the opportunity, I believe it was the second night in
Rapid City.
Was it Rapid City? To meet some radio folks from the area backstage briefly. And I just thought it was a very kind gesture. The gentleman we met, and forgive me for not remembering his name, but he brought, because he's a Yankees fan and knew that I was a Braves fan, he brought me a Chipper Jones rookie card, which was, I just thought, really, really, really cool. And so I want to thank him for that if he happens to be listening. But something that I'll keep and, hell, maybe give to South down the road or one of the girls. Who knows?
Yeah, that was very cool.
So I thought that was really, really cool. And then basketball, you guys locked Coach Oates down at the end of the regular season. And so you guys feel pretty good about that. Y'all have gotten some great grad transfers in and have another really great recruiting class, as you and I talked about. But we've been dealing with a lot of rumors of Coach Musselman with, golly, a lot of the openings. I mean, you had Texas open. You had Arizona open, and that was probably where the most heat was coming. I never really felt as though he was going anywhere, but if you read Arizona message boards and all that, they seem to think that, and hey, I love Arizona, so if you're listening in Arizona, don't take this the wrong way, but your message boards all seem to think that Arizona is a much, much better job than Arkansas, and we're pretty high on the chances of getting Coach Musselman, but he's agreed to a new deal at Arkansas, so that's awesome. And I would encourage you, if you do believe that Arizona is a better job, I would say they're very comparable. But if you just Google the facts, we have much better numbers in our history of basketball than Arizona. So I would just encourage you to maybe do a little research.
Yep.
And I hope you get a great coach. But we've gotten some great transfers in as well and another great recruiting class. And then something I don't keep up with as much as you, JR, but I happened to watch last night because I wasn't tired because my sleep schedule's so off, is I watched the Warriors playing the Nuggets last night. I just happened to catch it when it was first coming on, and I thought, I'm going to watch this. I hadn't watched Steph play in a while. Steph went for like 56 or something like that, and he is now with his 19th point, I think, which he got in the first quarter, by the way. He got 30 in the first half, but last night. But he's now the leading scorer in Golden State Warriors history, overtaking who? Do you know?
Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt still.
Exactly. And they were showing their numbers side by side, and Wilt played maybe half the games for Golden State that Steph has, and Steph's averaged 23, 24, 25. Wilt Chamberlain, while he was with the Warriors, averaged 41 points.
He averaged 51 seasons.
What?
He averaged 50 a couple of seasons.
41!
Yeah.
He averaged 41.
He had 100 points one game.
Yeah, but congratulations to Steph.
Yeah.
He's so
Hey,
fun
I'll tell
to
you
watch
another
play,
stat
and
with Steph. He just also chalked up his 18th game with hitting over 10 3-pointers. He's had 18 games where he's hit 10 3-pointers or more. The next closest to him is his teammate, Klay Thompson, who's hurt with 5, and after that it's 3. So nobody else outside of those two has ever had more than 3 games with 10 3-pointers, and he's had 18.
Just
incredible. Video game.
I also saw another stat that was kind of in the same vein, not exactly, but he's one of 4 players. Forgive me if I get this wrong, but he's one of 4 players to have, I think, 3 seasons or 4 seasons or something like that with 3 50-point games in a season or something. The others are Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and there was one other player that I'm not remembering. Yeah. But I was just like, the whole game, they're showing all these stats because he's chasing this record, and I'm going, good night. I mean, he just completely changed the game. There was never a 6'4", 6'5" guy who could affect the game the way that he does before him. It just didn't happen.
Nope.
And so, anyway, I just wanted to touch on some sports real quick. As we try to do every episode, and then before we jumped into some Q&A.
I saw some monster dunks. I actually watched the game before that. I watched some of the Sixers Mavs game, which all of them are just so sick in everything they can do.
So skilled, good. And I also want to mention very late in the game, Jamal Murray, who's a stud, got hurt.
Kentucky guy, right?
Kentucky guy, and he was really good in college, but he's become a superstar like instantly in
Stud.
the pros. I think he's certainly better in the pros than I anticipated. But yeah, he's a really great player, and really they had a chance to win the game late. They were down, and he was driving, and he pulled up, and it looked like a knee thing or an ankle thing.
I think they said it was ACL.
I hope it's nothing. No, really?
I think they said it was ACL.
Because I was it almost looked like a hyperextension, so I was hoping it wasn't an ACL because he's, I think the Nuggets are maybe third in their division right now and playing really well, third or fourth.
They've been on top a few times this year,
He's a huge, huge, huge piece to that puzzle, so I hate that for him and for them and their fans and all that. But anyway, I hope it's. I was hoping it wasn't as serious as
he's out the rest of the season. I saw the other players giving him some love, come back stronger, that kind of thing. And it can be done. It's tough. At least he's young. It's not the tail end of his career when it could be the end. So he's got time to come back. Prime example of that is my boy Zion down in New Orleans, probably my favorite player playing right now. Besides Colin Sexton and Kira Lewis Jr., Alabama guys. But Zion, he tore his knee up last year, early in his rookie year, got set out, and he's back, and now I want to say it's either tied with or might be, it's so far in the season, the highest field goal percentage of anybody to average more than 20 points. He's averaging like 25 points with like 78%, field goal rate. It's all hammer dunks and putbacks, but that's what he does, and he does it at a high level.
I think he had 30 or something last night.
Yeah, the last two games were like 30-something, 10, 12 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, and 78 and 80% field goals on those.
Just insane.
Good season heating up there, and like I said, looking forward to the Braves turning around. So there's our sports recap for this week, and I've got a stack of Q&A I want to get to, and we'll start. I'll give you this one too, Jess. This is kind of not necessarily a Q&A. This is just a message I got on my website, jrthehandler.com. It's an easy way to send me messages because I get notifications on that, not on Insta or Twitter, but I will seek those out and get those too. But this is one I got on mine. It's more of like just like I said, just a statement. I'm going to go two parts with this. One, because we just talked about the damage, but I'll explain the rest when I'm done. Hey, JR, I'm a sergeant with the Okaloosa County Sheriffs and work in the Destin area. I met Justin a few years ago when I was working, and he told me where his house was and asked me to keep an eye on it. I make regular drives by the front and back of the house. Recently, I noticed one of the panels on the back part of the fence was leaning. Tonight, when I drove by, that panel had been completely removed, and the backyard was wide open to when you drive by. I walked in the backyard. The panel was on the ground by the pool. I checked the backyard. Nothing appeared to be damaged, but I put the panel back. It's not secure. I'll get somebody over there or do it myself to get it better secure if you want me to. I don't know how to get a hold of Justin, but hit me up. He gave me his number. I work nights. Phone will be silent. Feel free to text, call whenever you can. So 2 parts. One, you got some damage. Apparently not too bad. Second part, don't be trying to bebop around and mess with JM's house because the police are going to be riding by. So I thought that was cool.
I specifically, that's very awesome of him to do.
Yep.
And I specifically remember the conversation. I went over to where Mark, our driver, stays when we're in Destin, the hotel that he always stays in. And I had an interaction with, I'm assuming it's this officer. And we talked for a few minutes and had a good conversation. I said, well, hey, man, anytime, feel free to pop over and drive by this is my address. And so the fact that he remembered that and took that to heart and did it and does it, and hey, man, I can't thank you enough. And I'll make certain that we connect somehow.
I'm going to text him.
I don't know if you can maybe DM him or something like that, and we'll stay in touch. But please know how much I appreciate that. That's awesome. That's incredible. I mean, they've got way more important things to do than drive by my house. But if you happen to find yourself over that way, as I told you before, I sure appreciate it.
I'm sure they make that round down past your house down the beach road. I'm sure that's a loop because you're kind of in the heart of Old Destin. So I'm sure that's part of his loop. But thank him absolutely for just poking an eye over there and noticing that and making sure nothing was up. Because I know we've still got some damage. And I told you I'm going to ease over there at some point when I go down to Tampa and visit my brother and try to get some of that stuff fixed up. And I'll talk to him later and maybe I can go over there and
Yeah, make sure we get
I'll
connected.
get that panel put back up.
But thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So some Q&A I got here. Let's go to this one first. This is on YouTube. Susan Wiebe, Wiebe. Happy birthday and cheers. I guess this is from a few weeks ago. She said, Bobcat is a great match. You mentioned Bobcat in your song Rebel Kids.
I don't even
That's
remember
what I was trying to think.
but that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm trying to think. I can't. I love that song.
I'll have to go back and listen to that. I haven't played that in forever, but that's awesome. And thank you for the birthay wishes. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. And there you go, Bobcat. We were giving you some love even before you came on as a sponsor.
That's right. Yeah, hey, I didn't even know.
We love to do that around here. We love all of our sponsors. Want to say, I'll get to some of that later too. But had one here, somebody who actually a company who had been sponsoring the podcast. We need to get them back in the groove. I don't know what the hang up with that is, but Devin Silver. On Twitter says, JR and Justin are so right. Founders Brewing All Day IPA is delicious and absolutely worth it. If you're in Kentucky like I am, it's at Sam's Club. Day drinking, #brew, Justin Moore podcast. So I want to say shout out to them to coming on. Love working with those guys. Look forward to doing it again soon. And I, too, enjoy some Founders All Day IPA. We'll get on this one real quick. And then we'll swap back to some more music stuff. This is actually, both of these pertain to food. And one of them's a Q&A, and one of them's just a thought I had that you and I briefly discussed I want to say for the cast. They both involve chicken and biscuits, Colt Ford. Hey, JR, I'm Jason from Buffalo. Since you guys talk about food sometimes on the podcast, do you guys like chicken wings, and have you ever been to Buffalo to have them?
Oh, yeah. I think we discussed that some time back. I mean, the story that I remember most about buffalo wings in Buffalo, and we love them, by the way. Yes. But we like them different. Like, I like the traditional buffalo. JR likes them.
I like smoked, right? Grilled or smoked. I don't like any sauce.
And I like them. See, I like them breaded with the traditional buffalo sauce. But I mean, best. I'll eat them anyway. But I went to this place on my radio tour. It was probably 07, 08, something like that. And we went to this place that looked like it just looked like a 2-story house on a corner. I mean, it was a bar / restaurant, brew pub kind of thing or whatever. And I'm telling you what now, best wings I've ever had, which I guess Buffalo knows how to do buffalo wings. I mean, but it was, the place was so unassuming looking though. You were like, is this really going to be all right?
Kind of like,
and it was incredible.
Kind of like that Italian place we eat at in New York Chicago that took us to. That's just a house. And it's like, Chicago. Yep. That's another question on there. But I'm the same. I've eaten some buffalo wings in Buffalo that were fantastic. And I like them all. I do prefer like a barbecue restaurant that just smokes them. Is kind of my favorite way, naked. Right. And I like the wings. I like the wings better than the drumettes. But so I've had them there, and yes, I do love.
And see, I'm the opposite there too.
Drums.
I like the drums better.
So have been to Buffalo, have had wings there. I'm like you. I can't remember specific names of the restaurants I've had them there, but yes, absolutely, I've had some good wings in Buffalo over the years. And another thing on chicken, this is just a thought I had the other day while on the way home a couple of weeks ago. I think it's from the Acoustic Run. I stopped by because I had been seeing the advertisement for, and this is no knock on them. One of the major, probably the biggest chain hamburger restaurants ever of all time. I'm not gonna say names. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Came out
over $1 billion.
Came out with a chicken sandwich, and I see others coming on with chicken sandwiches. Well, that chicken sandwich looked great. Was underwhelmed with it. I should have known from the jump. I've had them other places. Popeyes was okay. I remember the craze with Popeyes a year or two ago. They were okay. It was basically just 2 big chicken fingers on a bun, which was fine. But let's just go and cut to the chase here. Everybody stop. Chick-fil-A is the best chicken sandwich there ever is going to be. There's no reason to even try to be better. Just say you offer one, but don't claim it's nothing, because really, unless it's Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, it's just not.
We talked about Chick-fil-A earlier, and you and I kind of had a funny conversation about this sitting in the airport, but all these places trying to outdo Chick-fil-A, y'all better knock it off, because if they come out with a burger, it's going to be the best damn burger you ever eat. I'm sure. I promise.
Don't poke the bear.
Just knock it off. Don't poke the bear now.
Because they mess around and start making hamburgers, they're going to be delicious. I guarantee you. soak them in pickle juice, whatever they got to do. So just wanted to get out there. Everybody else, appreciate your efforts, but leave the sandwich to Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A wants to come on and give us some gift cards or sponsor the podcast, we'd be more than happy to do so. Let's see what else I got here on Twitter. Tanya Brown, Mrs. Brown here says, Justin and JR, saw where Hardy is a writer on your new title track. Can't wait to hear it. Fan of both. That would be a good time to bring him on the podcast. Smiling fakes and smiling eyes. Don't know exactly what that means. But, yeah, I was talking to actually the same radio guest from Rapid City that you were talking about, that I'd actually heard the title track, that Hardy, who is from Mississippi, which, yeah, it'd be cool. We definitely need to get him on the cast at some point.
Yeah, I don't even know Hardy.
One of the few I've never, I hadn't either. One of the few I hadn't either.
So yeah, I love to have
him.
I
know
on.
people that know him and mutual friends, but I haven't either, not living in town anymore. And last year, last year he was pretty rocking. Right. We'd have probably done some festivals together. But anyway, I have heard that song, and Miss Brown, you are correct. That is a jam. So y'all be on the lookout for that. Remember to go ahead and pre-order Justin's album. That will come out later this month, the 27th.
April 23rd.
Or 23rd, excuse me. Comes out the 23rd. So y'all go ahead and get that now, and when that pops, that new title track will be on there, and it's a banger. So y'all do that.
It may be the 27th, but get it by the 23rd. Hell, you can get it early.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just go ahead and hit download on your iPhone or Android or whatever you have.
Yep. Oh, this one's one you actually answered this question earlier, but we'll answer it for him. I thought there was one on here. This is dwaiting583 on Instagram. Maybe a question for the podcast. I was wondering, some JM music videos on YouTube every now and then, he's reaching back to his lower back, adjusting something. Always wondered what the artist was adjusting.
There you go. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. It's a pack that we have on us, and we run a wire from our ears down through the backs of our shirt, or jacket or whatever, and so it allows us to hear ourselves. It's monitors. Monitors were on the stage, and they're big and bulky, and some old school folks still use them. I think Tracy still uses them.
They do a hybrid thing. I think some people do a hybrid thing.
Some can do both. Yeah, some do both. We do all in-ear monitors is what they're called. But yep, that's what you're seeing us do. Is we have a volume control, and so we're either turning them up or down, or we're pulling them out of our ears because we can't hear enough of something. And so yeah, and honestly, in that same vein, if you see a show where, really any of these big shows, there's a microphone typically back by the drum riser, usually.
On the drum riser,
that you'll see us talking into, artists mostly, but it really could be any band member. And you don't hear it come out of the speakers. You don't hear what we're saying. It's us talking to our monitor engineers and people backstage. I can talk to JR. He's got the same ears, and it's a way for us to communicate. We call it a bitch mic in the business.
So you can bitch at somebody if something's not right.
It's usually us going back there bitching at something. But typically, you'll see an artist go back and forth to that microphone the first 2, 3, 4 songs of the show to kind of get things dialed in, because every venue is just a little bit different. Yeah. So, the technology is such that you hit a button on our boards that run the whole thing, and all the buttons just kind of go back to where they were the previous night, but each building is a little different with clearance and different things, and so you kind of got to dial it in, and usually we do that in the first couple, 2 or 3 songs. So there's a little more inside baseball for you. You'll know next time. We're like, who in the hell is he talking to?
That's it.
And then when we're adjusting the stuff on our backs, you'll know.
Yeah, he could go back there and say, hey, Warhawk, Zach McCoy is our monitor engineer, along with his assistant, Miss Alyssa Reel. I had to put him on the spot here a little bit since we had a year off the road. They found out they still like to hang out outside the road. So kissy, love you too. But no, Justin will say something to the effect of, hey, Warhawk, I need a little less drums. I need a little more crowd mic, just a little adjustment, because he has a control back there, but it's for overall volume. So you still got to get everything dialed level wise so he can hear the different stuff he needs to hear. And each member has different stuff. I know I have Warhawks, or no, I have Jared, the guitar tech's mix in my ear because I don't want to hear the click and stuff. So, but anyway, that's what that is. So he talks to them, they get it straight. He turns the overall volume up and down.
Or, I mean, it could literally be like, hey, JR, man, can you bring me a bottle of water or some hot tea or a shot?
Or like the other day.
Anything
Yeah, you were
like that.
hey, there's a little girl, third row left of Josh. She's got a sign. Where you go.
They had a sign.
You're like, you go grab that so I can sign it for her. I couldn't reach it or whatever. Or she's falling asleep, trying to wake her up or stuff like that. Or it could just be, Roger, what the hell are you wearing? Or anything. So that's what.
Or hey, I just crop dusted the front row.
Or Tucker,
or
Dave, or whatever. Yeah.
It just we kid around with each other, but it's all for us to be able to communicate with each other while we're on stage, because otherwise we would, it's so loud you wouldn't hear each other.
Bring Dave a triple. Tell him it's a single. So here's another one. Bassmaster. 1723, question for the podcast. What is Justin's favorite state to play in outside of Arkansas? You got one? That's a tough one.
I mean, it's so tough, and it sounds like artists speak, but I don't know that anywhere has been better to us outside of home than the Midwest.
Yeah.
Kentucky's great, which I guess they would be considered the South, but they're up there by the, the Ohio. Ohio's great. Michigan's great. The other places I really enjoy playing, a venue we were talking about recently off air was the Gorge, which is up in
Washington,
the Pacific Northwest.
Washington State.
Washington, Oregon. There's some spots out there that are a lot of fun.
California.
California's great. I mean, really, honestly,
we had 15,000 people last time we played in San Diego, and who would think that?
I'm not trying to just appease everybody, but in all reality, I mean, we've been very blessed that pretty much all over the country, it's about as good as anywhere else. You know what I mean? It's just about as good here as it is there.
Yeah.
But some of those specific venues, like the Gorge in Washington, is just a beautiful venue and backdrop, or Red Rocks in Colorado is super cool. But it would be hard to pick just one state. But I don't think any more passionate fans than the Midwest. Honestly, if you're just talking about fan passion, man, they rock.
Right.
Now.
Yeah. And this question goes along with that. I'll say my part on that last one on this. This is from Chris Voss 19. Also on Instagram, says, "Hey JR, possible question for the cast. Has there been any cities you or Justin were surprised which how much you either enjoyed the venue or the city itself? Big fan of what you guys have done on the pod. Roll 'em easy." I say that too. Same thing. Yeah, you'd never know, because Chicago, we've talked about it before. I love going to Chicago. That's the biggest city in the Midwest, and we have a lot of fun when we go to Chicago. It's a good party, it's good crowds, good food, lots of fun stuff to do. The venues there are all great. All the places we play, we've played old theaters, we've played cool big clubs, and then the new venues they've got over there now we've been playing is just super nice. It's where you told the guy that tried to pour the beer on the girl to get his ass out of here. When
he threw a full beer bottle at a girl, right at her head.
Yeah, and then
he didn't try to pour it on. He threw the whole bottle.
That's right. And I was on the phone backstage with DDP the first time I ever called, so I missed it and came in for the aftermath. But
crazy.
Yeah, but places like that. And, for me, talking about venues, we'll name off a couple of why we like. Obviously, we love Billy Bob's. Justin just said Red Rocks outside of Denver is just a beautiful backdrop. The Gorge, and that's in the Columbia River Basin in George, Washington. The city of George.
It looks like the Grand Canyon or
beautiful.
Something. I mean, it's super, super cool.
And then, Vegas has big, cool showrooms that we've done for bull riding events and rodeo finals and stuff. Those are always fun. For me, I always say Madison Square Garden was a cool one for me. I mean, I don't really absolutely love going into New York. Boy, it's a lot. It's a little busy for old country boy, but man, knowing what the history that's went on there, Ali fights, Hulk Hogan slamming Andre. I mean, it's just for me that walking in and it looks just the same as it does at WrestleMania, whatever. And I'm just like, wow, Madison Square Garden. So that's cool. And then, like see the hometown stuff. I like when we played on the beach at the Floribama. That was cool to me, doing things like that.
Yeah.
But when we go up to we go play that amphitheater up in Fayetteville, or we play in Little Rock. Those are always a lot of fun. So I'd say being surprised, like Justin said, I am surprised the first few times, but now after you've been back, there's a lot of towns that I'm surprised that I really found out I liked. Even some in California. I didn't know what to expect, but.
Yeah,
And
I would
Woodstock,
say
New York.
most-
we play at the site of Woodstock,
Yeah.
and it's always a big fun crowd.
Yeah, I mean, when you pose the question, what's the most surprising? I think for me, for the type of music we play, it's always most surprising, or at least it was initially. To kind of piggyback off of JR's answer, when you go to Chicago, you go to New York City, you go to LA, any of these type places where you're like, is there anybody going to show up tonight? And then it's sold out.
Yeah.
That's the ones that really, to me, surprised me early on in my career. Now we know because we've done it for so long and we've been to most all these places numerous times. But, I'll give you an example. We played the the Roxy.
Yeah.
On
Sunset Strip.
On the Strip, on the Strip in L.A., and it was jam-packed. And, I mean, this is the place where, Motley Crue and Poison and all these folks, kind of made their name, and you're like, is anybody going to show up
Yeah,
here?
right.
And we did that, we've done that numerous times in New York City at different places, and then you're like, this is awesome, man. It's just so crazy. It's awesome. But, I love visiting some of these major cities because it's just such the opposite of what we're accustomed to being at home, and it's a lot of fun for 2 or 3 days. After that, I'm ready to, see some trees and some grass and open fields and that kind of stuff. But I always love going, and you mentioned Chicago specifically, and we were talking about a restaurant that we've gone to in Chicago. I just remembered the name of that place. So if you're in Chicago, I would absolutely recommend hitting it. It looks like a little house, like we were talking about with the buffalo wings, but it's amazing, and the service is great. It's a lot of like just older gentlemen, if you remember, and they're dressed up in like tuxes basically. And but anyway, it's called Gene and Georgetti's.
Yes, that's it.
And I couldn't tell you where it is, but you could Google it or Google Map it or whatever. Gene and Georgetti's in Chicago. It's some of the best Italian food I've ever had in my life. It's great.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That was amazing. And it's different for us to go to some of those, but then also, playing historic places like you mentioned that, famous rock bands play, and then we go places like the Shreveport Coliseum, where Elvis first played,
Right.
and then we go to that casino ballroom over on the East Coast up near where we get the lobster up in New Hampshire, where that
for like $7.
Yeah, and that ballroom has literally had the Beatles played there. Everybody who's ever played there has played there. It's been around forever. It's Nat King Cole, Louis Armstrong. I mean, everybody.
In that vein, when you're talking about ballrooms,
Canes,
the one that always to me is super cool to play. Is Surf's Ballroom,
yeah,
which is where Buddy
the day
Holly
the music died
played his last show.
Yep.
Which is
in
just,
Iowa.
Every time you're there, you just have this. I don't know. You have this. There's this eerie but really neat feeling. It's hard to explain.
I agree.
But we've been so fortunate to play.
And then like Canes Ballroom in
all
Tulsa.
these places. Tulsa, that's a great one. Yeah. One of the ones that's eluded us, and I don't know why we haven't played it, is Green Hall in Texas. I would love to go play Green Hall, which is just another iconic venue that everybody's played. Kind of in the same conversation with a with a canes
Oh, yeah.
or surfs
Oh
or
yeah,
something like
it's on the
that.
historic register of historic places. It can never be anything but a honky tonk. I've been lucky. I've
Yeah.
probably played it 5 or 6 times back in the day with Wayne.
Yeah, I've never
We
done
did it with Kevin Fowler and Roger Krieger and Jason Bowl and the Stragglers, Cross Canadian Ragweed. We played with Blue Edmondson, Stoney LaRue. We've played it back in the day with Wayne and some of
Wow.
those. Yeah, it's so cool, man. It's just you walk in, there's the picture of George Strait sitting right there at the bench that's still there. And it's kind of
Right.
like Billy Bob's, just beer tubs everywhere, and it's empty and it's cleaned out. And by showtime, it's full of people ready to dance and party. And it's tiny
Rocking.
little stage. It's basically it's just a big barn, and outdoor area. Anyway, super cool. We definitely need to go play there
Yeah.
at some point. So there you go on that. And I've got a stack. I mean, I've got 2-3 more pages of Q&A. So I think we ought to just cut it here, because we're already at a pretty good length of time, and I need to get out here and get this yard done. I see I'm losing daylight. So
And I got a double
that's
header
right.
to get
So
to.
let's just cut it loose today, and we'll come back next week and jump back on that. And if you guys got any other questions or comments or ideas for us, please use the hashtag Justin Moore Podcast and send it to myself, JR the Handler, on Instagram, Twitter, or my website, jrthehandler.com, or to Justin's Instagram or Twitter accounts at Justin Cole Moore. And remember, on his, got to look for that blue check mark. I still see people doing, I've seen some of our other artist buddies making the statement, these scammers are still trying to get their scam on, and it's just pathetic, really, to be honest with you. I'm sure they're not even in this country, the ones that are doing it. But if it doesn't have the blue check mark, I assure you, Justin will never, nor will I, reach out to you and ask you to talk to us on the side for some money, for anything like that. If it looks fishy, I guarantee you it's fishy. Justin's not going to comment on anything, and my stuff, you'll know it's me, because I'm going to do my little signature. So, yeah, watch out for those guys. But say that to say, bring on some more quick Q&A so I can have a few more to line up for our next installment of the podcast, which we'll go through some more Q&A. And I've got a big, long one. You and I briefly discussed it. I'm going to watch a few more episodes of The Crown, and I actually got a few big, long emails from some of our friends, brothers and sisters over there across the pond. We want to talk about that, especially with the passing of Prince Philip this week. I wanted to get to that today, to what they had responded with, but it's too much. It'll take us an hour just to talk about that. So I figure we'll save that for next week. But want to say condolences to their family, and roll 'em easy, Prince Philip. Boy, 99, did it for a long time. Navy guy, sharp guy, and having to be the first husband of their world for a long time. I thought he epitome of class the whole time, from what I gathered from what we get to see. So we'll jump back on next week, and we'll go through The Crown. We'll watch a few more episodes, and we'll talk about what our friends over there what they think about the royal family. And I'll get on the rest of these Q&A. And we're not going to do a RM. I'm not even going to say what that means, or MR, because might blank you on your podcast bingo this week, but we'll have that next week. As far as our that of the week, that'll be next week. We won't do any of those this week. And this week in country music, I'll give you a few of those real quick, because I thought these were pretty cool. In 1965, Roger Miller won 5 trophies at the 7th Annual Grammy Awards, taking away Best New Country and Western Artist, Country and Western Album for Dang Me, Chug-a-Lug, Country Western Instrumental Section, male vocal, single, song of the year, all for Dang Me. Dang Me. What a great tune, So that was 1965. Dang. Roger Miller was carrying a stack of Grammys out the joint for Dang Me. Boy, we come a long ways, eh?
That's
you know what I mean? We come a long ways.
That's a haul right there.
Yeah. In 1970, Marty Robbins received the Man of the Decade award from the Academy of Country Music. The Grammy winner had suffered a major heart attack earlier in the year. I never even knew he had a heart attack in 70, but he was their male guy for the decade of that. And then I wanted to say this last one here. In 1983, CBS TV celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Country Music Association. Among those appearing on the special, Alabama, Kenny Rogers, the Oak Ridge Boys, Ann Murray, Ricky Skaggs, Roy Acuff, Tammy Wynette, Janie Fricke, Mickey Gilley, and the Gatlin Brothers. So come a long ways since then, for sure, too, on that. And I want to give a shout-out to some friends of ours who are always very sweet to us, our buddies Lady A. 11 years ago in 2010, they were number 1 on the country charts with their second studio album, Need You Now, which was a big, great record for them, and it had some great songs on it.
Monster.
Yeah, and they've got so much talent. you hate to lump them together, but those guys in Little Big Town together, I've seen them both do a cappella. That's why they're where they are. They're all just phenomenal. And good people too.
Yeah, they're
so
great.
Anyway,
super talented, and like you said, really sweet.
Yeah,
people.
just couldn't be any nicer. So I want to give a shout out to all those. That was this week in country music. Y'all make sure to tune in next week. Like I said, use the hashtag Justin Moore Podcast. Like, subscribe, hit the notifications, leave us a 5-star review. I know we've gotten a few more of those. We really need that to pick up. That'll help us in the ratings and securing guests and sponsors and all that fun stuff. So we encourage you, as always, any way you listen or watch the podcast, remember to use all those things and do them frequently and get your friends to. And if you haven't left a review on the podcast, the little purple podcast thing there, remember to hit the 5 stars and leave us just a short review. It could be saying, hey, JR, great job, or JR's an idiot, or whatever you want to say. Just put 5 stars and put us something on there. We sure appreciate it. And that's all I got for today. Anything else on your end, Jess?
Yeah, just before we jump off here, I want to thank Travis Tritt again for coming on, spending, golly, an hour, 40 minutes with us or whatever it was. And again, hope you guys enjoyed that. And I'll leave you with this teaser. I don't know who we're going to have next week, but the following week, let's just be completely honest. It's one of the biggest movie stars in the world.
Say no more. We'll just
is going to be our guest the week of. Oh, let's see. I guess it would be the last week of the month.
Should drop on the 29th.
29th show, and I don't even know how the hell we secured this guest, but just kind of leave you with that little teaser.
Be a lot cooler if we did.
That's another reason we wanted to kind of come on and you and I haven't had a chance to just rap in a few weeks. We've had a lot of great guests, and again, not sure who we'll have next week, but the following week, stay tuned, because I think you're going to be going, how the hell did they do this? Because I still am doing that myself.
I was just getting over coming off Cloud 9 talking to Travis Tritt for an hour and 45 minutes this week, and then I get then once again, shout out to our brother Cody V in Nashville, TCB up there for us, drops this one on us, and I'm like, wowzers, okay. All right, well, I guess we'll do that then. So and I don't know, like I said, I've got such a big stack here. We may just freestyle again next week so we can get through this Q&A, because I know some of these are a few weeks old, and I don't want to leave people hanging. But as y'all know, as Justin says at the live show, we try not to do a bunch of bullshitting up here, which it's all bullshitting, but we're trying to get through the stuff, because we know y'all have got stuff, and we want to ask questions to our guests, and we want them to have time to say what they need to say and expand on things and promote or whatever we're doing. So
on that subject, JR, let us know at hashtag Justin Moore Podcast. I know you guys enjoy the guests, but let us know if you enjoy when he and I just do this, what we did today.
For sure.
Because we certainly enjoy it, but we want to know what you guys what you like about it, and if there's something you don't, tell us that too.
And I want to give a quick shout out before we bounce out of here to some friends of the podcast. Big shout out to my brother up in Lincoln, Alabama at the Estaboga Bee Company, Mr. Justin Hill, for bringing me this fine North Alabama honey. I ain't playing. This is the best honey I've ever had. I used to get mine at the co-op, and now that Mr. Hill sends me this, he can send it to you anywhere. I don't even want any other honey. This stuff is so good. So I want to give him a shout out. Also want to give a shout out to our brother Brandon Bing and the Bangtail Hoss Whiskey. Man, this is my second bottle. Let me tell y'all something. Making a Manhattan with this, and that's one of my go-to drinks when I just want to have one or two, is good stuff. This is great small batch whiskey, and he could send it anywhere in the country, so y'all check them out. I'll put some links up to that. So just want to give those guys a shout out real quick. And thank you to Bobcat as always. And thank you, JM, for taking the time out of your busy schedule every week to make sure and jump on and talk to me and let everybody know what's going on in the world of JM. So y'all go to Justin's website, check him out, look for tour dates, new music, go on there and download all that stuff. Like Justin said, shout out to Travis Tritt. Are you kidding me? He's got new stuff. Go on and get that. Tracy Lawrence is putting out a ton of new records this year, so jump on that train. The beautiful and talented Miss Lainey Wilson, rock on sister. Y'all go make sure you download her stuff, and we'll be back here in about a week on the Justin Moore Podcast. Thanks, y'all.
Yes, sir.
For any of you first-time listeners out there, at the end of each of our episodes, I like to do a little reading out of a book I've had that I've got a lot of use out of over the years. The book is by Mr. Charlie Daniels. And the book is called Let's All Make the Day Count, The Everyday Wisdom of Charlie Daniels. Number 74, tenacity plus perseverance equals progress. The end of something is better than the beginning. Patience is better than pride. Ecclesiastes 7:8. I had an horrific accident in in 1980 involving farm machinery. It resulted in 3 compound fractures in my right arm and basically immobilizing me for 4 months. After my arm had healed enough for me to resume some activities, I found that I was in such a deteriorated state that I could barely walk 100 yards without being totally out of breath. I knew this wouldn't do, so I set out to do something about it, knowing it was going to take patience and regimen, both of which were fairly foreign to me at the time. However, I increased my daily walk by a few steps until one day I was covering a decent distance. Then I increased my pace until I was jogging 2 miles a day. It was a slow and laborious process that tested my will and determination, but I stayed with it, and it all worked out for the best. Even when I did regain most of my physical health, I found that my right hand and arm were so stiff that my guitar neck felt almost like a board. The only answer was to tackle it straight ahead and spend a lot of time practicing scales to loosen up my fingers. Now, I hate running scales. It's repetitive and boring, but I learned its value during that time of my life and still play scales as a part of my musical fitness regimen. I realized the importance of regular exercise in my life and have maintained some form of daily exercise ever since. But it all started with those first 100 yards. Difficult trials can be overcome by continuously pacing one foot in front of the other and proceeding in the proper direction. Let's all make the day count.